Welcome to today's session. In this video, we will break down the fundamentals of case control studies, one of the most widely used study designs in epidemiology. We will explore how these studies work, why they're important, and where they are most useful. Let's begin. Introduction. What is a case control study? A case control study begins by identifying people who already have the condition of interest, called cases, and comparing them with individuals who don't have the condition, known as controls. The purpose is to see whether past exposure to a certain factor differs between the two groups. Why case control studies are retrospective? These studies are considered retrospective because the outcome has already occurred by the time participants enter the study. Researchers then look back in time to find out what exposures the cases and controls had, usually using past medical records or existing data. Advantages of case control studies. One of the biggest strengths of case control studies is their efficiency. They are fast, economical, and easy to organize. They are especially suitable for rare diseases or urgent outbreak investigations where quick results are essential. Since the cases already have the outcome, researchers can gather enough participants even for rare conditions. Examples of case control studies. For example, during an outbreak of eye infections after ocular surgery, a case control study can quickly help identify the cause. Similarly, for uncommon diseases like uveal melanoma, this study design helps researchers understand which risk factors are associated with the condition. Cases in case control studies. On this slide, we focus on how cases are identified in a case control study. Imagine a hospital reporting a sudden increase in post-operative endophthalmitis. In such a situation, all patients who developed this complication within a predetermined period become the case group. It is extremely important to clearly define who qualifies as a case. We must decide the time window after surgery that counts as a valid case, specify whether laboratory confirmation is required, and describe the clinical criteria thoroughly. We also need a method to differentiate true infectious endophthalmitis from sterile inflammation. There may not be universally perfect answers to each of these questions, but the definitions must be finalized before the investigation begins. And importantly, the study findings will only apply to patients who meet that exact case definition. Controls in case control studies. Now, let's talk about the selection of controls. Controls should be as similar as possible to the cases, except for the fact that they did not develop the outcome. Matching is usually done on important factors such as age, gender, or the time they were admitted. Controls must also have a comparable risk of developing the disease. Otherwise, the comparison becomes unfair or misleading. For example, in a study on post-operative endophthalmitis, it would be inappropriate to choose controls who had traumatic eye injuries because their risk level is very different. Instead, selecting patients who underwent elective intraocular surgery during the same period would make the comparison more accurate. Matching cases and controls. In case control studies, matching plays an important role in ensuring that cases and controls are comparable. But we must remember that matching should not be excessive. If we overmatch, it becomes difficult to recruit enough controls, and the matched variable can no longer be studied as a possible risk factor. For example, if we match cases and controls by the type of intraocular surgery, such as secondary IOL implantation, we lose the ability to explore whether that specific surgery increases the risk of endophthalmitis. Another strategy to strengthen the study is to include more than one control per case. Although adding an extra control can increase statistical power, research shows that using more than 2 controls per case provides only minimal advantage. Collecting data in case control studies. Once the cases and controls are defined, the next step is to determine what information needs to be collected. It is important that the same type of data is recorded from both groups to maintain consistency. Researchers must remain objective when investigating past exposures because the outcome is already known. If the interviewer is aware of whether the participant is a case or control, there is a risk of unintentional bias. Whenever possible, masking the interviewer can help prevent this. In many studies, patient interviews are necessary to gather details such as smoking history, diet, or previous use of traditional eye remedies. However, recalling past exposures accurately can be challenging. Cases, in particular, may analyze their past behaviors more closely than controls, resulting in what is known as recall bias. Reducing recall bias through structured questioning or using medical records significantly improves the quality and reliability of the study. Advantages of case control studies. Case control studies come with several strong advantages. Since the research looks backward in time, findings can be generated very quickly. These studies are also budget-friendly, making them suitable when resources and funding are limited. One of the biggest benefits is their usefulness in studying rare diseases or uncommon outcomes, where other designs may require huge populations. Case control studies also allow researchers to explore multiple exposures or risk factors for the same disease. Because they typically involve fewer subjects, they are efficient, practical, and easier to manage, especially in time-sensitive or resource-constrained settings. Disadvantages of case control studies. Despite their strengths, case control studies also have important limitations. Since the study looks backward and doesn't follow participants over time, it cannot measure incidence or the rate at which new cases occur. These studies are also more susceptible to bias, particularly recall bias when participants cannot accurately remember past exposures, and selection bias when controls are not representative. Another limitation arises when medical records or past data are incomplete or poorly maintained, making it difficult to reconstruct exposure histories. Finally, choosing appropriate controls is one of the most difficult tasks in this design and must be done carefully to avoid distorted results. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope this session helped you clearly understand the concept, structure, and strengths of case control studies. If you found the content helpful, do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more easy, high-quality explanations on pharmacology, research methods, and healthcare topics. Your support motivates me to keep creating informative content. Thank you once again for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.